Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. Paul with you here. It's just a little bit after 6 o'clock in the morning. Dawn is breaking, and I haven't had a chance to be with my subs in any meaningful way, and we're going to rectify that now. I've had what has been like an odyssey in the last exactly 1 week. I was walking last week exactly at this time. And about an hour forward from this, around 7:15 or so, 7:30, I went to my car and I looked for my credit card maybe to buy something. I forgot what it was that I was going to do. I was going to do something. And all of my ID was gone. All of it was all gone, except for my birth certificate, which I had back at my place. So to be confronted with that, in my situation especially, is really tough. And just to let you know, without a driver's license, you can't rent anything. You can't rent a car. You can't buy a car. There's certain things you can't do. So I want to show you, I used to have cups here. You understand? I used to have cups, and I think those of you who know me, I had cups here which I kept stuff in. Now, what happened was I put all of the license and everything else, and I laid it flat, and I didn't have any money with it, but I had all of my ID. But it stood flat like that, because there were about 3 or 4 or 5 cards, something like that. And I had it laid down in there, and then I put my little sponge thing there. That's like a backup set of keys I have. And I did that. I can't remember when I did it, but I did it like a couple days ago, a couple days before that. So it was out. It had fell out. And that's how I knew somebody was very ambitious and lifted up the sponge and then put the sponge down and then took the credit cards. And then it was a wild, mad dash to get on the phone, because it was Saturday morning like now, to get onto the cards for the banks and shut down all my cards. But, you know, I don't know how long they had them, because they could have had them for a day. I don't remember exactly. So it was a real problem. And I didn't recognize a couple of the transactions. They didn't make complete sense to me. So I couldn't quite figure it out. So then it was miserable all day because I had to work. At 6 o'clock I got out at night. And and then I had to file a police report. So here I am trying to, and they put, dusting powder all over my car and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the hell is going on. This went on for a while, because I went immediately on Monday, last Monday, I went down to the driver's license place, and they had this headstrong black Haitian cop there. And the black Haitian cop said to me, "Do you have 2 pieces of mail, like within a week or something like that?" And I said, "No. All my mail goes to a P.O. box." And he says, "Well, you can't come in." So I went up here to my place that I work, and one of my coworkers said, "Go up to Pompano. They have a place there. It's, you don't need an appointment, and you can go in there, and they're civil." So, I had to go in there. I think I went on Wednesday and I was kind of looking for a car. I've been looking for a car because my car is pretty much had it. It's pretty much had it. Although it's still running, it's pretty much had it. So even though it's pretty much had it, it's still doing what it's supposed to do with getting me back and forth from work. So I have to be careful. I can't run from the fire into the frying pan. So I can't buy a car because I don't have my license. They won't let you. And man, I'll tell you something, folks. For about 3 or 4 days, it may have been more than that. I don't know. It's about 3 days. It was like living in agony, because when you lose your license and you can't get your license, you can't get your other ID, you can't get your social security card, you can't get anything. So I had absolutely no answer for this, none. So, and there was a great deal of lamenting, because I knew it was my own fault. I shouldn't have done it. I should have never put my ID, even if it was kind of hidden a little bit. I should have never done that, ever. So that was a real problem. So I'm going to show you what finally happened. So here's my car, okay? I remember putting that little sponge thing, which is here. There's a little sponge thing right there. It's like a little sponge. I remember putting it on top to make sure that it, you couldn't really see too much on that, You could still see it though, I guess, unfortunately for me. So what I had to do was, I said to myself, I got to go try to that motor vehicle. So I went to the motor vehicles, and it was in a mall, and it was on the outside of the mall on this little weird extension. And, the GPS pulled me in there, and then it said, you're here. And here I'm looking at JCPenney's, I'm looking at Macy's, I'm looking at this. I don't know what the hell is going on. Turns out that's exactly what it was. It was right there on the second floor, like a back alley kind of thing. It was weird. So I went in there. There was a black cop over there, wasn't it? Yeah, he was a guard. He had an armed pistol. But he let me in without saying anything. And I went in and I told the girl, I said, look, all I got is my birth certificate. And she said, don't worry. That was the first sign that I was in the right place. And then she said, punch in your social security number. This is what happened to me. I don't know what happened to you. So I put in, my social security number. She says, here, take this ticket and go online. And my license was up, and it had to be renewed by next year, late in the year. But I wanted it done because, that's a pain in the ass. So what wound up? I wound up coming out with a brand new license. And when I came out, and folks, I'm not making any of this up, okay? In fact, I'm going to show you what I did. I went into my car, okay? I went into my car. I sat down like such here in my car. I looked at these things right here that used to be here, and I said to myself, never again. I mean, if you're going to hide it, you might as well hide it in a place that's safe, where nobody can see it, nobody will suspect anything. So I said to myself, oh, here, right here. See this little zipper thing? Right here. So, lo and behold, I opened that up to put my license in there and zip it up. Everything was in there. My old license, my social security number, all my credit cards. So I had a misplaced memory, I guess is how I'd put it, and drove me absolutely into the worst, into the worst state of mind that I've been in many, many years. So I just kind of sat there and went, and then I realized it was, good. Now, that's my story, and it's hard to explain. I know it's simple, but try losing all of your ID and then have them rejecting you from going down to try to get your license. That's a good one. That's a good one. So it was really, really awful. That was the end of Odyssey 1. Odyssey 2 is my boss here, not from the security company, but the boss from the place that I work. And he's a nice guy, but he's very strange. And this was an occurrence that just kind of started, I would say it started in around April, or no, about May, to be fair. April or May, probably May, early May. And he, didn't want me to be offended, but I smell. And this is not news to the people that are here on this channel, I'm sure. But I'm in a compromised situation, and it is hard. And that is about to change because I just can't put everything out for my family anymore. I'm not willing to do it anymore. And my car is in desperate shape, and I just can't do it anymore, and nor should I. They're off in some other land and some other world with some other guy and some other people. And that's how it is, and my money's no longer going there. So anyways, that's just out of self-preservation now, because, I mean, if I get a month out of my car, I will be happy. If I get 2 months out of my car, I would be really happy. I'd be really happy about that. So it'll give me more money, more time to save a little bit of money up. So anyways, that's part one, okay? That was bad enough. Part two, my boss here is a nice guy. 2.5 years ago, when I came here, 3 years ago, at least 3 years ago, he saw me and he kind of sized me up pretty good, I had a different car then. I had that old blue car. But he had sized me up pretty good, and he said, here's $20. So he wasn't a bad guy altogether. He wasn't a bad guy. And, he just knew that I needed a little help or something like that, so he did that. Nice guy. From Trinidad, by the way, a Trinidadian. And so what happened was, as I started working at this place here in October, because I started in like early October or something here, or September, I can't remember. It's been a while though. What happened was, I didn't have any trouble. I was walking a lot. The temperatures were a lot cooler. They weren't like now. And summer here is really hard. It's not exactly a new thing. Summers in the South, including the Carolinas and stuff like that, the Deep South, you get hot summers here. I remember when I saw my grandmother, Granny Barker, the Cherokee Indian, when I went to see her and she was eating peanuts on her deathbed. My mom forced me to fly down to South Carolina from Long Island, and I was glad I did. She recognized me, and I didn't know her real well, but last time I saw her, I was only a little boy, a little 5-year-old boy, and she said, "Powell, do you know where I could get a new rear end?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, this one's got a hole in it." So she was, that's Cherokee humor, honestly. So she was really quite a pip, She was a pip. And anyways, so when I came down here, I stayed at my Uncle Dennis's house. That was a trip, because Uncle Dennis was an insurance guy, and he played the system right, if you know what I mean. And he had a nice house, and he had a pool table, and I sat down, played pool with him, etc., etc. And he was a good guy. He helped me a lot, I bought fireworks there that year. I couldn't take them back on the plane. That was a real shock to me. I couldn't get the fireworks on the plane, so I left them with Uncle Dennis in 1978. Or 79, I think it was 79. 78 or 79, it was a long time ago. And then he came back in 1987 and brought all the fireworks with him in his car to give to me. And I made some money on it. Some of them were no good, but most of them worked. So it was unbelievable. Anyways, when I went down there to see my Granny Barker, I noticed one thing in the early part of July. It's fucking hot in South Carolina, all right? Just to let you know. Just like here, this bastard in Florida. And when I went there, I could not go out during the day. It was too hot. I literally could not leave the house because they had it set at 78 with the fans, and they had strong ceiling fans. And it was cool and comfortable. And when I went outside, it was impossible. Now, I lived in Long Island at that time, and I, lived in Connecticut and up in the Northeast. So I'm not used to all this weather at that time. So what happened was, it's hot here, and you could smell it easily. And as you get older, you're going to have a smell. I mean, when people get older, they get a smell. It's like not much you can do about it. And I tried. We went through this now for about 4 months, and my boss gives me little hints and pointers. Don't take offense or anything, and this has gotten to the point where it's really hard to come to work. It's really hard to come to work because I'm going to get a private conversation saying that he doesn't want to hurt my feelings, but he's just trying to help me, and this is going on and on and on. And it's on and on and on. The only thing good about it is that I'm only here 4 days a week, and he's only here 2 of those days. So I only have to deal with this 2 times a week. So yesterday I tried to put my best foot forward, and I tried to, I did my laundry an hour before I went in. I washed it, and then I dried it all the way in the dryer. And I took a bath with soap, and I went and I bought Old Spice antiperspirant, which I don't use antiperspirant because I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't care. I'll use it for this, for a few hours that he's here, a couple hours that he's here. I don't care. I'll use it. Whatever gets you through the night. So I went ahead, I put that in, I put that on, I put it on heavy, and then when I got to work, I reapplied it. I put it all over my shoulders. I put it on my stomach. I literally put it on my feet to make sure that they didn't smell. And I walk in, I said, look, I dolled myself up and cleaned up. Really, head to foot. And sadly, he informed me that my odor is still ever present. So this is getting ridiculous, and the only thing I can tell you is this, and this is a sad thing because you're not going to like hearing this. I refer to myself as a God. There's good reason to believe in me as a God, because while other people are shaking in their boots about the COVID-19, you'll be here and you know that it never existed. It existed in a way that it's always has existed. And that's what the people cannot understand, so you might as well tell them that it doesn't exist. That's close enough for them. That's close enough. But anyways, I won't get into that. That's another story for another day. I haven't covered that topic in a while. But my dad told me a long time ago when my dad had his marbles, because my dad lost his marbles. When I can remember, he kept putting on dark glasses and he kept bumping into things, and I kept telling him, don't do that. He said, well, no, there's ultraviolet rays. I said, Dad, it's negated by your likelihood to fall. Stop it. Get those glasses up. You couldn't teach him anything. He thought he was too smart. He was an old World War II man. So anyways, and that was, I forgot what year that was, but it was, I forget when my dad died. Anyways, no matter. When my dad was healthy and he was younger, like 58, 52, 59, 61, he told me, and he didn't see me too often, he said, you're going to rise because you're going to rise to the top. That's what you'll do. Intellectually, you'll rise to the top. It didn't really mean anything to me. And he said, you got me, and your brain will work like mine. Well, he was right. Because we kind of share the same brain, same absent-mindedness, same lack of clarity on new things and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. But he was right, because my dad was really kind of like a people watcher. He didn't watch things, he watched people. And the ability for me to realize the hoax, the covert hoax, the COVID-19 hoax, And I don't know. I don't know if my dad would have believed in it if he was alive. I don't know if he. I think he might have figured it out. And if he was 55, he probably would have figured it out because he had a good brain. And I stopped and I thought about it. And there's a sad reality, and a lot of people aren't going to like this. I'm sorry. The movie Cool Runnings, that was about a Jamaican bobsledding team that had never done it before, and they were never in it, and they were trying to keep them out. But it was the idea of an ex-bobsledder, a white guy who got caught cheating. They banned him, and he lived in Jamaica, and he realized that the Jamaicans were real fast runners, world-class sprinters, and he thought that might work well with pushing the cart. And it kind of did. There was only one problem. The problem was they had a terrible first run. They qualified, had a terrible first round. They almost got hurt because they couldn't get into the bobsled. The last guy couldn't get in and get down. But he finally did, and they had a very lackluster performance. But the second time, they got more comfortable, and they kind of stopped relying on the Swiss to idolize, and they said, look, we got to do this. We got to do it our way. Let's just do it our way. And we're Jamaican, so let's just do this the Jamaican way. So that's what they did. And they pulled off a very good run. So good, in fact, that it was theoretically possible for them to take a bronze medal, which is really something. But unfortunately, they didn't have enough knowledge. They just didn't have enough knowledge about the whole thing. And he did not keep up on the maintenance of the steering device, and the bolts came loose. And they crashed, and they had a violent crash. But the people, they knew even the other athletes, they knew. They did the best they could. They were almost killed. And, there's a song about it, the Jamaica bobsledding team. There's a song about that. I haven't heard it since like the mid-'80s or late 80s. Or maybe early 90, 91, something like that. That's when that movie came out, Cool Runnings. Great movie if you want to see it. It's a terrific movie. And they didn't have their genetic nature to do it. And they tried their best, and they just couldn't do it because of the maintenance issues. They couldn't understand that. And you have to understand, these were people that had no bobsledding experience, not in Jamaica. And what happened was, in this case right here, we've got the same thing. We've got a man that I figured out has a long history of Arabian culture. That's what probably Indian culture is what it strikes to me as, because there's a great deal of that. There's a great deal of oil in Trinidad, so there's a lot of Arab influence. And I stopped and looked at this whole thing, which I'm going through, and it's really hard because it's just it's demoralizing. And beyond being demoralizing, first of all, the place here that they put us in, this building has no air conditioning during the weekends. So you are working at around 106 to 108 degrees. And all there is a little fan there, and it's an enclosed room. Need I say any more? I mean, let's put two and two together, okay? And that's that. That's how it went. And that's how it goes every weekend, or anytime he sees me. So I stopped and I thought about this, and it's going to be very offensive. It's going to be very offensive to people. I want you to take this in stride. The same way that in Cool Runnings, the guys didn't have the sense about them to maintain their equipment on their bobsled because they had no experience, and back in their heritage, they going back into their great-grandfathers and great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers, they were not bobsledding. Now, maybe in Germany or in Bavaria or whatever it is, they might. So it might have some sort of heritage to that, some sort of inner gene. And they don't have it. They didn't have it in Cool Runnings. Why? Because they were probably living almost like in before Christ times, before Christ, of course. And they're living in that kind of a manner. And they get thrust into this kind of new life here. Well, it's the same thing with that. I know this man has a famous last name. And what he doesn't realize is that he's putting himself into a false position of superiority. Well, he is, because, he's a boss here, and I'm not. He has a trade, I don't. And he uses that in order to be able to look down on others, particularly me. And that's not something he wants to do, because he would find me a formidable opponent if we got into a cat fight or a pissing contest. So my thoughts on this, unfortunately, and they're right, and I know all of you will not like this. How is a person that has a very, very prominent name, last name, with a lineage going back 200 years ago, 200 years, that's not a long time, folks. 275 years, they were living in mud huts or swinging from vines or whatever. So how do you expect this man to be able to say to himself, wait a minute, you know what? I got a guy here who's a couple years older than me. He evidently never stole a freight train. He's an okay guy, but he smells. And it's about as low as you can go, and he doesn't get the big picture. You understand, folks? He doesn't get the big picture. Why? Because he has a very high feeling about himself. Because of the family. Because of the family name. You understand? I guess you don't really understand. What's the trump card? Swinging from vines and living in mud huts. Because how are you going to be able to understand, when they've raised you to be this namesake that they have, that you could be wrong about something? Well, or not only wrong about something, but it's offensive to continually tell somebody that they don't smell good. Particularly when you're in a place with 106, 107 degrees. It is hot in there, folks. That sun beats down in this building. There's no AC in a little small room. But they're telling me that I can walk through the hall and they can smell me for miles. And this is not right. And it's not reality. It's reality to his nose and his nose only. Because I don't get people telling me that I stink, although sometimes it's possible. In my compromised situation, it is possible. Anyways, what do you expect? Right? Well, I told you I was like a Christ. Not that I can save you, I really can't. I can suggest things to you about the COVID-19 scam and other things, but that's not really what I do. You understand? What I do is I am a focal point, and I've realized this over my life. I'm a focal point. Don't ask me why. One of the things that surprises me is that I'm involved. Like, this thing with that woman, I forgot the name of that singer, but she had some guy, he was like a Romanian gypsy is what I thought, but I cut their yard. And one of my subscribers said that, he was from some other country. That could be true, but they have gypsies all over. And the family I cut the yard for, that guy, Bjorg, I think was the name of that woman singer. And Bjork, she did Human Behavior, that song Human Behavior back in the 90s. And so what happened was I cut their yard, and, I said, I'll have to get in that side of the gate. She said, you can't go back there because my son lives there. And he doesn't talk to anyone, and I have to just bring him his food and give it to him on a plate. He doesn't come out. So he was a real strange bird. This one was a real strange bird. He was fat, and I saw Channel 7, which used to be the lead channel here, and if you read the National Enquirer, that was the news that you watched, Channel 7. If it bleeds, it leads. And I remember they showed part of his offing himself sewer. You know, when you off yourself sewer, I won't say the other side, right? Sewer. Well, when he was doing it, they had part of it, and he was talking about he was really upset that she had taken on a black boyfriend. Evidently, that was the big problem there. She took on a black boyfriend, and it was evidently her manager or something like that. I don't know what the deal was, but regardless, he was very up in arms about that, and he had to end it all on camera. And they showed part of it. They didn't show the whole thing, but they showed part of it for sure. So the guy said, you don't know what you're talking about. That guy was from somewhere over in Europe. I said, doesn't matter. There's gypsies all over. You have Irish gypsies. You have Romanian gypsies. You have gypsies all over. So that's what they were, pretty much, as far as I could tell. But I was there. I remember it like it was yesterday. I know. I remember. Well, I told you, my dad told me I would rise to the top intellectually at times. That is true. Because you know what I found out? I found out, and this is not the first time, this is a few times in my life I found this out. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. This guy is big on vitamins. The guy here that tells me that I stink. Well, we talked, and we're having this little chat and about what he does, and he takes vitamins and he can help me and he can show me. Well, guess what the vitamin is that he's taking? He's taking Life Extension. And if you look up the vitamins called Vitamin Extension. I'm sorry, Life Extension vitamins. Life Extension, I believe that's what it is. Life Extension. Who is it? Bill Falloon. William Falloon. Go look at it for yourself. William Falloon. 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 Bill Falloon. Who is he? Well, because you have somebody that's like a Christ in some sort of weird way, and is a focal point in time, like I am. Don't forget, Jesus Christ, whether you care for Christianity or not, it's still a point of time. Time itself is based on Christ. We keep measurement of time by it, AD and BC. So Christ has that. You have me, and I give you these things here that you can, these tidbits of knowledge that you can take away. Now, what does this all have to do with the price of rice in Peru? Well, Bill Falloon was known to my ex-friends there as the head freezer. And I cut his yard. He lived at, I think the address was 711 Rainbow Drive, North Rainbow Drive in Hollywood. It was right by the Memorial Hospital. And he was a good-looking chap. I'd say about 32 years old, 33, something like that. He wasn't 40, I don't think, at the time. But he was older than I, and I was probably about 28. So he was probably around 35, I would guess. Maybe a little bit more than that. Looked good for his age. Good crop of hair, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember putting some grass down for him in his yard, and things were okay with him. And I found out that he's into cryogenics, which means when you die, they'll freeze your body immediately and see if they can resuscitate you in 30 years or 200 years. They'll see if they can resuscitate you, assuming that you stay cold and fresh, and possibly bring you back to life. That's exactly what that is. a lot of people can't afford, I think it's around $500,000 a year. It may be a little bit less, but I think it's around 400,000. I know it's over 300,000 a year. They'll freeze your whole body. And every year you pay 300,000 because you have to be put in a cryogenic freeze. This I'm not making up. But Bill also reminded me that there was a cheaper plan, and that was they can remove your head and just freeze your head. I'm not making any of this up. This is all for you to go verify. And I talked to him about it for a little bit. I mean, I was only the lawn man, but I talked to him about it. And yeah, I just thought it was strange. And he said, look, why don't you, I'll give you half price for the vitamins. They're $55. Go and get them. I'll give them to you for $25, which I did. I got them. Did they work or not? I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, the verdict is still out on that. What's the point? The point is, this negates or so severely weakens my boss's position that it's an embarrassment. So now I have to live with being superior to my boss. Why? Bill Falloon. You understand? So he started telling me about this wonderful thing about these vitamins and that it's life extension, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, I think I know those vitamins. I said, it's made by a company. It used to be here. He says, it still is. It's on somewhere, Sunrise Boulevard or something now here. And he said, it's this. And I said, I know who that is. Just matter of factly, I knew who it was. It's Bill Falloon. And he says, yes, I think you're right. I think I saw the name Bill Falloon on the packaging. I think I saw that. I didn't see his picture, but I'll look it up. Well, you do that. You know why? Because you thought you were real smart. But I'm a focal point in time, almost like a Christ. You are not. Neither are any of you. But when you come to this channel, you have a chance. You understand? You have a chance because you've got kind of a time portal in me. A kind of a weird portal. A focal point, if you will. So, as embarrassing and as nasty as this sounds that I smell, what's really happening? My boss is coming out looking like something less than a horse's ass. Why? Because he bought the whole thing. Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean, the whole thing? Well, if you can't do the whole full Monty and freeze your body cryogenically for a few $100,000 a year, you can always do the head for less. I think they got a good budget plan for that. I think it's around 60,000, 50, 60, 80,000 a year, something like that. It's a good deal. Again, the focal point, bizarreness. You can check on all of this. And he was really caught up in this. And I let him dig his own grave. So he said that he took the tier 2 vitamins, and they were like $100 a month. But he said they have a tier 3. And that one was like, he can't afford it because it was like $200 or $300 a month. $300 a month. From who? Bill Falloon, Life Extension. So he's caught up in this and thinks he's real smart. But what was the truth? The truth was, I went over to Bill Falloon's lawn one day to go cut it. He was there. And unfortunately, Bill Falloon's character was revealed. And with this kind of a revealing nature, what I'm going to tell you, you know that he's no good, and you know that what he's doing is a huck. And my boss is caught in a huck. And I can't tell him because he has full faith in it. Not some stupid lawn man like me. Well, what happened? I went to cut his yard. His girlfriend came over. I think I saw her, seen her one time before. I didn't cut it for her too. I cut Bill for about like 6 months, something like that. Did a little work for maybe 6, 7, 8 months. And then I never saw him again. He moved out of Rainbow Drive here in Hollywood. But so I saw the girl. The girl's attractive. She was attractive. She was a curly blonde-haired girl, a little bit of freckles, And, you know, she was attractive, a good-looking girl, everything. Unfortunately, it appears, based on what I saw, that Bill got her pregnant. And I saw him come to the door, and he didn't want her to come in. And I think he basically said, get rid of it. I think that's basically what he said. And that woman went into his house by force and started throwing everything that he owned in that house out on the front yard when I was cutting it. A focal point in time, folks. That's why you come to this channel. A focal point in time. So, and you can believe me or you don't have to believe me. That's up to you. Why would I lie? So I have no money to make on it. I'll never get enough subscribers to do anything because this is all like fucking craziness. So, about 6 months later, he called me to cut the yard, and the woman was there, and they had a kid. They had a baby there. So evidently, he did marry her, and I think they had a couple kids. And the whole point of the story is that Bill revealed his character. I liked him, but he revealed his character. When you got a woman, a very pretty woman, that you get pregnant, and you try to keep her from going in your house and tell her to go out there and get an abortion or whatever he was running down to her, it ain't good, folks. It ain't good. Anyways, this has been long. That's what's going on in my life right now. Remember, I'll do everything that I can to not let you down. When you come here, you got me. My dad told me about that. He said, the cream rises to the crop, son. So, in some ways, I know I do. Unbelievable what people think of themselves. Unbelievable. I shouldn't have even told him yesterday. I told him that. I shouldn't have told him because he'll probably put it together. But he won't because he thinks so highly of himself that I don't think he'll even understand this. But the whole thing is very distasteful and you don't do it. But he'll never understand that because of his high name. Take care, folks. I will see you maybe later. It's going to get hot again today and I'll be suffering. Take care and I'll talk to you later. Good to have you here. I know these are talky and long-winded, but if you got something upstairs in between your ears, you might be entertained by what I tell you. All right, folks, you take care and I'll see you tomorrow or later today. Bye.